What's up, everyone? Sergeant Archibride here, and today we're continuing our series. In 1916, the Battle of the Somme, not to be confused with my episode just on 1916 in general. The Battle of the Somme was basically this gigantic Entente defensive into to counterattack the German army in France, sort of push them back. And the British, it was so cool because the British had these giant bombs that they had put underground and stuff. They'd been working on them for a while, and they like blew them all up. It's quite fascinating. And that actually ended up working because the Germans had never seen that before. But of course, in the end, the Entente didn't really win the Battle of the Somme, because they underestimated Germany and their artillery. They didn't do as much damage with their artillery as they thought. Anyways, I have been gone for a bit over a week. That was because of a coronavirus scare. Luckily, it was a false alarm, so yeah, everything's good. Anyways, let's start this video. Yeah, thank you all for being patient. And also, what I thought was interesting was I got more viewers on my part 3 than my part 2. I thought that was quite interesting. But anyways, let's just continue. Osprey Publishing. Very interesting.
1916.
Wow. Bulgaria looks really weird in this map. So does Austria, Hungary.
Europe is in the grips of the most destructive conflict yet known. World War I. Much of the fiercest fighting takes place on the Western Front, where British, French, and German armies are locked in a bloody stalemate along 450 miles of trenches. There have been millions of casualties, but neither side can break the deadlock. The combination of barbed wire, machine guns, and heavy artillery means troops trying to cross no man's land, the open ground between the trenches, are slaughtered en masse. The advantage is always with the defender.
Yeah.
And the Allies are committed to more attacks. They're determined to liberate the parts of France and Belgium that were occupied by Germany in the first months of the war. The British and French have agreed to launch a joint offensive in the summer of 1916. But the Germans strike first.
Really?
In February, they launch a massive assault on the French fortress city of Verdun.
Yeah.
Its defense requires all available French reserves. So the summer offensive will be led by the British, their biggest attack of the war so far. Its chief
so far. So what is their biggest attack then?
aim now to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun.
Oh god, that's loud. Big push.
The attack will take place along a 25-mile front near the River Somme in July. The new British commander, General Sir Douglas Haig, would prefer to attack near Ypres, where there are clearer strategic objectives. But the Somme is where the British and French armies meet, so where a joint offensive must take place. He would also prefer to wait until his inexperienced divisions have received more training. But the French need his help now.
Okay.
The Somme has so far been a quiet sector, allowing the Germans to build up strong defensive positions.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I said this earlier, but there's like a massive quality difference from the German trenches and the Entente trenches, or the Central Powers trenches in the... Actually, I don't know. Okay, anyways, the German trenches were very, very good. They, the German trenches had a lot more stuff in it, and they were a lot safer than the Entente ones. Like, I wish I could show you pictures. But yeah, you gotta look it up yourself. It's really interesting. I don't know if this is true about the rest of the Central Powers, like Bulgaria, or never mind. I don't even think Bulgaria had to make any trenches. I don't know. I said that, but like Austria, Hungary. I'm sure they made some trenches in Italy. But anyways, it's just really interesting.
Here the Germans have two formidable defensive lines, with a third under construction. Each consists of 3 lines of trenches: fire, support, and reserve, connected by communication trenches.
Wow.
They bristle with machine gun positions and are anchored on fortified villages and strongpoints. In front of the trenches, there are thick belts of barbed wire.
Wait a minute. So the British are gonna bomb them? What if they bomb the villages?
Below are dugouts, some 10 meters deep, to shelter German troops from artillery fire.
Yeah, look at that. Look how fancy that looks. Look, they have a little metal plating in that wood.
Telephone lines buried 6 feet deep allow troops at the front to communicate with artillery batteries during an attack.
I can't even imagine being one of those workers that would have to dig all of that.
The German troops that hold the line are well trained, and most are combat veterans.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's 1916 already. They know we're coming, alright.
The offensive...
Wow. I don't know if these boxes, I'm pretty sure this was to represent divisions. I don't know how many men are in each division. But wow, it seems like the British outnumber them by a lot. Seriously. Why don't the Germans have any reserves? And their other areas.
Will be led by the British Fourth Army, commanded by Lieutenant General Sir Henry Rawlinson. With Haig, he draws up the plan of attack.
You guys hear that? What the heck was that? Like one of my light bulbs. That was really weird. What the hell just happened? Okay, anyways. That was weird.
To overcome the Germans' formidable defenses, the British will carry out a massive, week-long artillery bombardment with 1,400 guns.
Oh, I didn't know it was a week long. Jeez.
Expected to destroy German barbed wire, flatten trenches, and kill their occupants. 19 mines are also dug under key German strongpoints.
And these are big mines, by the way.
Filled with explosive, ready to detonate just before the attack begins.
Just imagine being the Germans right now. There's gonna be a week-long bombardment of artillery. A week long! And tons of artillery just hitting you over and over and over again. And then on top of that, all these bombs you never knew existed explode right in front of you. These were literally the biggest bombs ever. There was no bombs that were bigger than this before in history. And they're blowing it up right in front of them. It's crazy. And the Germans are they've never seen this before. It's just crazy. To just imagine being in their position right now. And then, waves of British troops attack you, right afterwards. And look how much they're outnumbered by, too. Wow.
To the north, the British Third Army will make a diversionary attack at Gommecourt. The 16 British and French infantry divisions are then expected to take their objectives with minimal opposition. The attack will begin at 7:30 a.m. in broad daylight, so the artillery can observe its fire.
Okay.
British morale is high, and the men are confident of victory. Many of the units taking part are PAL battalions, the eager recruits of 1914, now about to face combat for the first time. But on the eve of the assault, there are worrying reports that the British bombardment...
My cat is very irritating. I asked him if he wants to come inside before I make the video. He's like, no, I'm just gonna stare out the window. And then I start making a video, and now he's complaining. Seriously, cats can be annoying. Come on. Wanna react with me? Wanna react to a video with me, Eclipse? Come on. Come on. Get up here. My cat will just come when he's ready, I guess. Anyways, let's continue.
has been only partially successful. 1.6 million shells are fired, but due to inexperienced gun crews, a shortage
That's a lot. Oh, there he is. Hi, Eclipse.
of heavy guns and faulty shells, much of the German barbed wire remains intact.
Oh.
German defenders, too, are largely unscathed in their deep dugouts.
My food. Stop.
And from captured prisoners and listening in on uncoded telephone calls, the Germans know exactly when and where the British are coming.
Wow. That's not good.
The Allied artillery bombardment reaches its peak at 7 a.m. At 7:20, the British detonate an enormous mine under a German strongpoint, the Hawthorne Redoubt. And British troops rush forward to occupy the crater. At 7:28, further mines are detonated under German strongpoints along the front.
Fine, here.
At 7:30, the Allied bombardment moves on to the German second line, as British and French infantry begin their advance across no man's land. German troops, meanwhile, race up from their dugouts to set up machine guns. It's an enduring myth that all the British infantry climb out of their trenches and walk steadily towards the German line. A few units do, but most send men out into no man's land before the bombardment lifts.
I'm sorry for getting off topic. But my cat is just being ridiculous. Hey! He's like clawing all my clothes. Like, I don't know, I got a new shirt. And it's like hanging on my doorknob, and he's like clawing at it. And I gave him food, and he just bit it. And then he wanted to have more of it. Like, what the heck? Stop! Hey, Eclipse. Hey. I should not have let him in, I'm sorry.
So the final dash toward the enemy line is as short as possible. But in the northern sector, whichever tactics are used, the British are easy targets for German machine gunners.
Yeah.
Especially where they bunch up to get through the few gaps in the barbed wire.
You know, this is the thing about the Entente. They, if they really wanted to, they could just wait and do nothing. And eventually the Germans would capitulate. And if the Germans try to do any kinds of attacks, obviously, the Allies would just be able to repel them. And obviously the Germans can't really replace their forces, while the Entente can. Instead, the Entente goes for the strategy of attacking them constantly. Which, don't get me wrong, that definitely does work, because obviously, like I said earlier, the Germans can't really replace their losses, while the British can. I mean, obviously in manpower, the Germans are fine. But I'm talking about, like, in resources. Um, yeah. So, yeah.
The British
The, the Entente has a clear advantage right now.
infantry advance brave.
I'm gonna be right back. Okay, my cat wanted back outside, so I had to put him back outside. Let's continue.
But are mown down in their hundreds. Some units do break into the German line. Near Thiepval, the 36th Ulster Division captures the Schwaben redoubt. But without
Good job.
support on either flank, it's isolated, and the survivors are forced to retreat that night. On their right, the 32nd Division takes the Leipzig redoubt, while near La Boisselle, the 34th Division captures the Lochnagar mine crater.
Dang. They are not really taking that much land. And keep in mind, their objective was way more than this.
But these are just small toeholds in the German line, far short of their objectives.
The fog of war.
In World War I, one of the greatest challenges faced by commanders is getting accurate information about the course of the battle. Reliable field radios haven't been invented yet.
Don't they have telegrams at this point?
Telephone lines are regularly cut by shell fire.
Oh.
So officers must turn to messengers, flag signals.
Oh yeah, and they have like carrier pigeons or passenger pigeons. By the way, they're extinct now.
Light
I don't know why, but it's probably because of the wars.
Signals, even homing pigeons, none of which is completely reliable. To get around this problem, during an attack, supporting artillery works to a fixed timetable, moving their fire onto the next line of enemy defenses at a set time. So when the infantry start their attack, gunners adjust their fire onto the second line of enemy defenses. But if the infantry get held up, the supporting fire keeps moving on according to the timetable. The infantry get left behind and are at the mercy of enemy machine guns.
I wonder if they're gonna mention anything about, planes. I wonder if, any kinds of planes had any significance in these battles.
Aerial observation.
Also, when were tanks made? They're either made in 1916 or 1917. When were the first tanks made? Oh, 1915. So are they gonna use them in the Battle of the Somme? I'm surprised they haven't really talked about them at all. Anyways, let's continue.
By balloons and aircraft.
Wait, what?
Aerial observation by balloons and aircraft can provide valuable information.
I don't know why you'd want to use balloons.
But
they seem very unreliable.
Balloons and aircraft can provide valuable information.
Like, balloons seem like they can just be shot down. I mean, why do they call it a balloon? Blimps, yeah. Blimps.
On good weather.
And that's
control
true.
Of the skies.
Yeah, I remember it talked about this earlier, how the Germans had superior planes, at least now. And it's interesting, they had like these triplanes too. They had okay, look at this plane. It has two wings. Well, the Germans had a triplane which had 3 of those wings. It's very interesting. I wonder if they'll ever talk about that. But yeah, the Germans had the superior planes, and they had the Red Baron on their side too. So yeah, they pretty much had control of the skies at this point. So I could see why the Entente had trouble in this area.
This is why, on the 1st of July, it takes British commanders hours, even days, to find out which attacks have been successful and which have failed.
Wow.
This makes it extremely difficult for them to react to the situation with any speed.
And compare that to World War II, where they had, where, the Germans had, like, radios inside their tanks. So, the commanders could just know immediately what's going on. And it was only, like, 20 years later. A little bit more than 20, but
Further
you get the
south,
idea.
there is much greater success. Despite heavy losses, the 21st and 7th Divisions take Mametz and cut off the heavily defended village of Fricourt, which the Germans abandon overnight. On their right, the 18th and 30th Divisions take their objectives, including the village of Montauban, which is secure by 11 a.m. Alongside them, the veteran French 20th Corps also takes its first-day objectives, as well as 2,500 German prisoners. The Germans didn't expect the offensive to extend so far south, and are less well prepared. And, crucially, the Allied bombardment is boosted by French heavy guns, which are much more effective at destroying barbed wire and German strongpoints. At 9:30 a.m., French colonial troops lead the attack south of the Somme River.
Colonial troops, that's interesting.
The French seize all their objectives and take 3,000 more prisoners.
Dang. Wow. Usually, colonial troops get a bad reputation when they're in battle.
Despite success in the south, the first day of the Battle of the Somme is a costly failure for the British.
Yeah. Seems like they only took like half of their objective or something like that.
German losses for the day are estimated at 12,000 men. The French lose 7,000. But the British suffer a staggering 57,000
Wow.
casualties.
Yeah, on time altogether, it was like 5 times more casualties. A little bit less, but yeah, well, about 5 times more casualties. That is a lot. That's crazy.
Killed. The 1st of July, 1916, becomes the bloodiest day in the history of the British Army. And it's just the first day in a battle that rages for another 4 months, finally ending in November.
4 months? Wow. Like, usually whenever you hear of battle, like, of course, they're large battles. But usually whenever you hear about a battle, you picture, 2 armies going head to head. And then, one army wins and they go. Obviously, that was really oversimplified. Yeah, just 4 months. That is a lot of time. 4 months for a battle.
November, amid freezing rain and mud. By then, the Allies have advanced 10 miles at a cost of 430,000 British casualties, 200,000 French casualties, and 450,000 German.
Whoa! When did the Germans start losing so many? Like, earlier the Germans were losing like a fifth of the Entente casualties, and now the Entente are losing like, I don't know, 1.5 times more casualties.
It makes the Battle of the Somme one of the bloodiest in history. In Britain,
well, that's what happens when you have a battle that lasts 4 months. It usually has a lot of losses at the end of it.
In popular memory, the Somme is remembered as an unmitigated disaster and tragedy. evidence of the incompetence of British generals, and the pointless sacrifice of the gallant soldiers under their command.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, really, like, less costly alternative would just be to wait it out until the Germans ran out of resources.
But to those who fought it, and those at home, the Battle of the Somme was seen as a success.
Really?
Casualties were enormous and hard to bear, but across Europe every warring nation was suffering terrible losses.
Yeah. The fact that the Germans lost so many troops and they can't really replenish their losses, like that's a lot of people and a lot of resources that were used by the Germans, defend against that giant horde. So yeah, that probably had a huge effect on Germany.
As all commanders struggled to find an answer to trench warfare. And at the Somme, the British had not only helped save their French ally, who went on to defeat the Germans at Verdun,
and the Russians too,
but learned vital lessons about how to fight on the Western Front.
Okay, I'm sorry. That previous statement sounded so stupid. Look, sometimes I make really dumb statements on camera, and that's because I don't know, I'm just speaking my mind straight out. I don't have any script, because obviously I haven't watched most of these videos that I'm reacting to, so I don't have a script, I don't have anything planned. So I just sort of speak my mind, and there's no thought, like, not a lot of thought goes into it. And then I end up making really stupid claims, which I don't even really think. But yeah.
Most of all, the Battle of the Somme had been a costly but necessary wearing down of the German army.
Yeah.
An immensely painful but vital step on the long road to victory. Maps and research for this video come from...
Okay, well that's pretty much the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. I really enjoyed that. It's quite an interesting battle, and it's also interesting how they dedicated an entire episode to it. But I mean, it was a 4-month-long battle, so it makes sense, I guess. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and after this, I'll be taking more suggestions. So yeah, thank you, and thank you for being patient of that last week. I'll definitely be uploading on my usual schedule. Yeah, goodbye.